Today on We Love It Outdoors, we're on a big water road trip that's right up my alley.
Look at that right there.
It's a little bit better fish.
A Wisconsin walleye adventure with veteran pro Larry Smith.
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
This is it.
I'm Dan Eigen, full-time guide and avid outdoorsman. These days, it's easy to get stuck inside in a virtual world. But the real world is outside.
Look at that awesome looking fish. So
I challenge you to put your instincts to work, making real memories with real people. Because we love it outdoors. The We Love It Outdoors crew is on the road in Wisconsin, and even though it certainly doesn't look like fishing weather right now, that's why we're here. And I'm really fired up because we're looking for my favorite fish, the walleye.
Man, you can't just fish when it's nice. You gotta go fish whenever you can.
Our first stop is the Oshkosh Mills Fleet Farm store, where I've got to gear up for a two-pronged attack on the Wisconsin white tips. We're going to spend one day on the state's largest inland lake, giant Lake Winnebago, a well-known walleye factory, and a second day on one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world, Lake Michigan's massive Green Bay. To show us around these two legendary walleye fisheries, we've enlisted the help of one of the best to ever wet a line in these parts, longtime guide and veteran professional walleye fisherman Larry Smith.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, Dan. Welcome to Wisconsin.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
I like your truck.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Down, Manny.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Ready to do some fishing on Winnebago and some big walleye fishing on the Bay of Green Bay?
Absolutely.
Pretty good time frame, even though there's a lot of storms and stuff coming through. I think we should still be able to have some pretty decent fishing. The walleye fishing has been good. We've been catching a lot of other species mixed in with them. You know, we'll try to use some of the exclusive colors that you guys have at Mills, which have been working really good.
Lake Winnebago is extremely popular, both as a fishery and for recreation. So the best way to beat the crowds is to get an early start.
Dan, let's go fishing.
Let's go get them.
Well, the plan today is to stay somewhat dry. We've got a really stiff, 25 to 30 mile an hour southwest wind. So the nice part about this system is that it's a river system, of course, and the main lake is going to be pretty rough, but we're going to, could be some really good shoreline fishing. But right now, let's go in the upper lakes. We're in the Fox right now, right in here in Oshkosh, and we're going to go north and we're going to go up into Butimore and work Butimore. We're going to work some cane beds. Most of the water we're fishing is anywhere from 3 to 6 foot, very shallow. There's not a lot of structure as far as rocks up on Butimore. There's only about 6 or 7 main spots, so we'll hit 3 of them, half of them, see what happens. If we don't come up with anything, we're going to run back to the big lake, and we might get a little wet, but we'll catch fish.
That looks like a decent fish. Yes, it's a beautiful walleye. Hey!
Now look how fat these fish are on this system. That's how much forage we have. It almost looks like it's a pregnant fish. But, this is pretty typical of the Winnebago system. This is about a 16-incher here. And we've had such heavy forage hatches in the last couple of years. Our fish are really healthy.
One of the things I'm most excited about today is the number of different presentations we'll be using to catch these fish. From live bait to artificials to fast-moving crankbaits, casted, trolled, and everything in between. That's why so many of the best walleye anglers in history cut their teeth on the Winnebago system. Because to be consistently successful here, you have to be good at everything.
Atta-way, Larry.
It's walleye.
Walleye.
Now this here, this is a typical Winnebago fish. If I was going to keep a fish to eat today, 13, 14 incher out here, perfect eating fish. You know, and I always say you're always better off keeping the smaller fish, even though all these fish on this system are great eating.
It looks like the walleyes are going to cooperate on the Winnebago system, but I'm still waiting for my first bite. Something tells me I'm going to get it right after this. The We Love It Outdoors team is on a Wisconsin walleye wrangle with veteran pro Larry Smith. We're starting our walleye hunt on the Lake Winnebago system, where I'm told you can catch walleyes in more ways than almost any other walleye fishery.
Fish. Nice
Walleye.
job. Nice job. I knew you'd get one here. Nice job, Dan.
Hey, my second Winnebago walleye.
Now I can call you Walleye Dan. Before it was Sheephead Dan.
Look
And
at
then
that.
White Bass Dan.
It's a nice eater, huh?
That's a great fish. We'll keep that one, Dan. Good job.
That's on that.
Nice fish. That's a flicker shad, just in case.
It is a flicker shed, I know
Flicker
that, but
shad.
I'm just trying to remember what color that is. But I do know that that is a Mills exclusive color.
Yes, it is.
And the, boy, that thing ate it. Look at that.
Believe me, if you're headed to the Winnebago system to chase walleyes, bring your whole tackle box. And I mean everything. In a day of fishing here, we'll catch fish on jigs with live bait, jigs with plastics, deep running cranks, shallow running cranks, lipless rattling cranks, jigging rapalas, spoons, spinners, and nearly everything in between. These are aggressive, shallow water fish that attack baits more like a bass than your average walleye. And location is key. With very little structure, locating edges such as transitions from soft to hard bottom or wind-generated mudlines is very important.
Walleye.
Nice walleye. Had away.
Nice fish.
Had away, Larry.
You know, I tell you, Dan, you know, we moved up on this spot, and I've been kind of, the last 4 or 5 days, the water's been too clear. You know, that's the big thing with a lot of lakes in Wisconsin now. We've got a lot of zebra mussels, and we've had a lot of days where we haven't had a lot of wind to turn things up. And I've been waiting for this day for us. We had a strong south wind coming today with that storm, and it really dirtied up the water. And when it dirties up the water, these fish like to lay up on these shallow, there's a bunch of gravel in here and sand mixture, and it's perfect, just whipping jigs up there and dragging them back.
Nice work.
Good job. It's real dirty in here, and what I do, I hit the spot lock on the Terova, and we're locked in right here, and what all we're doing is I'm pitching back onto that shelf. It comes up, we're at about 5 feet right here, and it comes up to about 3, and there's a little bit of sand and gravel mixed in there, and I'm just casting a 16th ounce jig and just basically dragging it back real slow and dropping it. And when I feel the fish pick it up, I actually pull them along for about, you know, halfway, a good stroke back, and then I set the hook on it. If you set the hook, as soon as you feel them, they're just grabbing onto the back of that crawler and you'll never get the hook on them. So you got to put the pressure on it, and they feel like the bait's starting to get away from them, and then they'll slide up on the hook and you know, let them have it.
Nice, right by the boat again.
Nice walleye. There we go. That's the one. Oh my gosh, Dan, look at, he's got 3 night crawlers in him, and 2 of them are yours.
Oh, look, Larry.
There we go. Again, you know, this system has got a lot of fish in it. You know, these 14 to 16 inchers, they're the prime eating fish out of this system, and you're not hurting the system by taking a few of these out of here.
The Lake Winnebago system is not a trophy destination. There are big fish here, but the draw for most anglers is the number of quality fish you can catch in a day. And not just walleyes. In fact, we kept track, and in our one day on the Lake Winnebago system, we caught no fewer than 12 different species of fish. Some small, some big, and some really big.
Got him, Dan. Oh, I love you, man.
Look at that.
Which means there are very few dull moments on this fishery. There always seems to be something ready to bite, and most of the time, it's what I call a perfect swimming fillet.
Nice job. Dan,
That's a little bit nicer. There's a Walter.
walleye.
Yep.
Is that on? What's that on?
That's on a nightcrawler.
Oh, where's
Yep.
this? Nice job.
Yep.
That's a
So
nice
Larry,
fish.
look at that. That's just
Great
a
eater.
perfect little eater. You know, just a perfect eater. This is really fun.
It's hard to say exactly how many walleyes Larry and I landed on Winnebago today. Let's just say we're going to have a fantastic fish fry. But our Wisconsin walleye run is far from over. And when we come back, we take on some truly big water that's home to truly big fish. We're on mighty Green Bay right after this.
Come on, Dan.
My drag's
Whoa,
not
whoa.
set the best.
It's day 2 of our Wisconsin walleye adventure, and Larry Smith and I have moved north to one of the best walleye fisheries in North America, Giant Green Bay. We're after big fish today, but the wind is up, and on the big water, that can be a problem.
Dan, I'll tell you, the guys at the landing just came back in and said, don't even go out there. You know, they were taking waves over the top of their boats. The guy said they took on about 200 gallons of water. You know, they were out about 2 miles, and we got a stiff west wind at about 30, 35 miles an hour. She's really hauling today. I've got some spots that are in. Of course, we're coming off this west shore right here. I've got some spots that are in within a mile. So let's give that a shot and see what happens. What we're doing now is I'm just trying to get a feel for this drift here, and just kind of lining this up. There's a series of humps that we're going to be drifting over, and right now we're in about 10 feet of water. It's going to come up. The high spots are about 5.5 feet. Everything else around it's about 8. So we just want to use the wind and let us drift right through them and keep casting downwind. You'll be able to cast a country mile. Okay, here we go, right here, right on it. Let's let her happen.
We're set up to make a long drift over a huge sand and gravel flat with a series of small humps that concentrate fish. With the wind rolling, we're going to be moving fast, so the plan is to fan cast fast-moving baits like hair jigs and lipless crankbaits. Not your typical walleye fare, but under the right conditions, these reaction baits can trigger ferocious bites.
You got one yet, Dan?
Larry,
I got one, though, Dan. I knew I could trick you.
you tell me to change lures and then you take one last cast.
I tricked you, Daniel.
Oh! Nice work, Larry. That's a decent fish, huh?
That's better than Winnebago there, big guy.
Yep. Had a way.
How'd you like my strategy on that?
You know
I said,
what?
Dan, it's time for you to change your bait.
I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm gonna just dump you. You.
Dan the fishing man.
Yep. See the old guide trick there from Larry Smith.
Yep.
Hey Dan, you know, one
chin.
more cast, and I made that one more cast, and I was retying, and he goes, "Oh, you're gonna switch now?" And I said, "Yep." He goes, "Well, then I'll take one more cast."
I forgot to tell you there was one more hump on this bait.
I think I'm getting to know you a little bit, Larry.
Now that out here is a good eater.
Wow.
Yep, that's the Bay of Green Bay. The problem with using live bait out here is that when you're jigging, in a jigging scenario, is that there's so many gobies down on that bottom, Dan, that jig even comes within 3-4 inches and nicks that bottom at all, the gobies have it. So most of the time it's more artificials than anything, just because, you know, every cast you're going to be putting a new crawler on.
Yes.
Nice job, Dano!
Yeah, it's a nice one too.
Dan, what do you got? What do you
I got a big walleye. Snag him or what?
Nope. Sheephead.
It's not digging like a sheepy.
I thought I could fool you. Come on, Dan!
My drag's not
whoa.
set the best. My drag's not set the. Just dumped him.
Oh, no, it's a nice one, too. Oh.
You know what? When you lose a big fish like that, your heart falls to your bottom of your stomach, and you.
You know what? I got a suggestion. Let's go up and make another pass.
One of the drawbacks of fast-moving reaction baits is while they do trigger aggressive bites, sometimes getting a solid hook set is difficult. I'm working a Rapala ripping wrap using an aggressive sweep of the rod to rip the bait up off the bottom, then letting it fall quickly. The strike often comes just as you start to rip.
There we go.
Got him, Dan!
Yep. It's
Get
not
out.
a big one like the last
That's
one.
okay, it's a fish, Dan. It's a fish.
It's not
almost
as big
in that
as the
same
last
spot.
one.
You need a net or you gonna fling him?
Why don't you net it?
Oh, I'll do
It's
that
just
for you.
barely hooked, actually.
Right. Coming down with the net.
There you go.
Glide him in. Glide him in, Dan.
Barely hooked.
Gotcha.
See, I just need that confidence to get built
There
a
you
little
go.
bit.
That's
so.
another good eater.
Yeah.
Even though we're here for big fish.
Thanks, Larry.
I don't think you guys in Minnesota have walleyes, so maybe you can, I'll clean these for you, take them home.
Go ahead, take that one right with you. Oh boy, that feels good to get one in the boat. That one there was about a third of the size of the one that I just dumped. But, you know, and that one just was barely hooked as well, but at least I got it in the boat. I feel better. And you know what? I feel really good about the chances of us catching more fish because Larry's caught a couple or a few, and I dumped the big one and caught one. That rattle, that rip, that it's just a total attractor. Larry, so is this one of those deals where you can catch these fish all day or what?
You can, Dan, that's the nice part about fishing out here on the bay out here. You know, it's not time sensitive. You know, these fish will bite all day long out here. And I like it that the sun's out right now because the water temperature is only 63 degrees. It dropped quite a bit with all that rain we had yesterday. Hey Dan, how about 5 on the next one?
No, you got it already, I see that. You wiseacre. Net?
Nope.
That didn't take
A
long.
little nicer fish. A little bit nicer.
That away, Larry. That was on the straight hair, huh?
Yeah, it was on the straight here. It just switched back to that. I'm gonna let this one go, Dan. It's a little bit better fish.
Okay, nice
We've
work.
kept a few already, that's enough. Hey Dan, you know I noticed that every time we get on the back side of this, on that rip and wrap, it seems to be when you get bit and the fish seem to be a little bit bigger on that bait. So what I'm gonna do is let's come back around on that one more time on the high side and run it through, and I'm gonna stick to my, you know, hair jig here, and then as soon as we start dropping down, I'm gonna grab a rip and wrap and start ripping with you like that on that back side of this, because it seems to be, again, that's where the bigger fish are coming off of.
Sounds good.
Another fish, Dan.
Look at you. Nice job. This one's a netter, isn't it?
No, not. It's a little better.
I got one too.
You do a good job, Dano.
Yep, that's on the pink lemonade.
Excellent. We got
Maybe
a
I
double.
should net my own fish. Here, heads up.
That's a nice.
Nice fish.
Yeah, nicer fish. Another fish. We're on them now, boys. Got the mother load. Let's get some big ones now. I love it. Now this is the Green Bay that I know. Fish
Look,
after fish. We got fish laying on the floor. Here we go, boys.
Oh, no.
I can't do it. Can't do it. I don't want to hurt the fish. That's just a nice fish. There's what we're talking. We're getting better. That's what we're looking for. Now this is a typical Green Bay walleye. And again, this is not an eater. I like to let these go.
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
This is it.
Oh.
Now we hit, you know, I said that you got to just keep working at it. And you know, Dan, you guide for a living too, is you keep working at it and you hit the jackpot.
Nice
right
work,
there.
Larry.
All right.
And I think that's the best lesson we can pass along for this entire 2-day Wisconsin walleye tour. No matter where you're fishing or what you're fishing for, don't let yourself get caught up in thinking walleyes live in only one kind of place and only eat certain baits. You've seen it here. We've caught fish on at least a half a dozen different presentations, from traditional live bait offerings to fast, loud artificials, and even baits that were designed for vertical jigging through the ice.
That one ate it.
Jig and wrap again?
Yep.
All right.
If you keep moving and keep changing, Eventually, you'll find the right combination.
There's a fish. Larry's got one. Nice. Netter?
Nope. I want a hog. I want a hog.
Nice work.
It's a good fish, but not the one we're looking for. Fish after fish after fish.
Yeah.
She's right here. Oh yeah.
Did I miss it? No, I got it.
That's
Nice fish.
Nice fish.
Right here.
That's a nice fish.
Oh man, alive. And you know what? You get to hold this one because that is your fish.
Go ahead. That's a nice fish. Beautiful.
And it ate it.
I see that. It doesn't get any better than
It
this,
really
Dan.
doesn't.
No.
This has been a phenomenal trip.
Nope. I mean, this is just like I said, you know, it's one of them kind of fisheries that you hate to keep the big ones because you want it to keep going and keep going. And if you take the big ones out of there, the main spawners, you're not going to have a great fishery like this. It's so fun to catch them and let them go.
Unbelievable. This has just been yesterday on Winnebago, today on Green Bay, just big walleyes.
You know, as a proud native Minnesotan, it's hard for me to admit that there is any place better for catching walleyes than the land of 10,000 lakes. But all it takes is a couple of days on the waters of Lake Winnebago and Green Bay with a veteran guide like Larry Smith, and it's pretty easy to see why Wisconsin is one of the premier destinations in the walleye world. And yes, we love it. Continue this adventure by visiting your local Mills Fleet Farm store or shop online at fleetfarm.com for all your sporting good needs and more. fleetfarm.com.